We have just completed one of our lowest cost of living months since we left the UK back in 2025. We are currently in Malaysia and June has just wrapped up, and every single month I try and break down what the costs actually look like. And so I'm going to run you through our total expenditure for the month of June, just to give you an idea of kind of where our money goes on any living month as we travel around Southeast Asia. So for the month of June, let's dive into the costs. Now, we spent the entire month living in Penang in Malaysia, down at the beach area, staying predominantly in Batu Ferenghi, and I'm going to walk you through what those costs look like. I'm also going to share those costs across multiple different currencies. So if you're interested in Australian dollars, if you're interested in the actual home country, Malaysia's own ringgit, if you're interested in euros or American dollars, they are included as well in these costs, just if you have an interest. So, right, let's have a look. Month of June 2026, here's exactly where our money was spent. First and foremost, I'm going to give you our Grab expenditure. Now, in this total will be taxi rides as well as regular shopping and restaurant orders that we have placed using the app itself. And I'm just rounding this up into everything that we've effectively spent digitally. So within the month of June, we made 48 different purchases. Looking at the data, that looked like it was 12 taxi rides and the remainder as restaurant and shopping orders. And for the month of June, that came to £459.75. So it was quite a hefty month in terms of ordering. I'm going to explain why that was the case in a second. Accommodation stay. Now, within this particular month, we took on a house sit. So we looked after 2 small dogs in exchange of accommodation. The 2 dogs, Teddy and Lucy, were our responsibility. And for the month of June, that was 3 weeks, just over 3 weeks out of the 4 for the complete month. So we had only a short stay in a hotel after we had completed the house stay. That house stay meant that we were pretty much just around the accommodation, taking the dogs out for regular walks, 2 walks a day, to the park, down to the beach, and for Yvonne and I just to spend time with the animals. It was great fun, something we enjoy doing. We don't want to do it all the time. We don't want to turn this into a full-time reason to be staying in locations caring for animals, but it's something we enjoy because the pets were so rewarding. Both of the dogs were great fun to be around. So as a result of that, that meant that our hotel stays for the month came to just £92.50. Now, this goes back to the previous slide on the restaurant orders, the Grab deliveries. Because we were caring for the dogs, we were getting a lot of orders delivered to us, which is why that monthly spend was higher than normal for us, and why we've also been able to reduce down the accommodation stay. So £92 was 5 nights stay as we've moved back to Kuala Lumpur, which was £18.50 per night. We've stayed longer, but just to give you the breakdown for June itself. All right, let's move on. Subscriptions. Now, this is an area I need to focus in on a little bit, and I have done now that the month is wrapped up. I use a lot of different services to manage my YouTube channel. I have, for example, AI services where I'm creating thumbnails. I have things like Canva where I can add text to a thumbnail and do editing of images. I pay £15 a month for it. I use ChatGPT, I use Claude. I also have subscription services to the likes of a mailbox, a PO box, because I run a weekly newsletter where I dive a little bit more into some of the details. If you're interested in that, there is a QR code on screen now. I have about 50 places left before I'm at the capacity of 500 members. So sign up and I'll send you a weekly slow travel newsletter. But as part of that, to comply with GDPR, I have a PO box that costs me £15 a month. So all of these things total up, which means that my monthly subscriptions for June was £167.01. Now, I've cut some of those back. I had a subscription to Microsoft for Excel. I'll use Google. I'll trim a few things that I'm not using. and definitely something that I need to pay a bit more attention to. There's a bit of a quiet monthly leak there that I need to pay closer attention to, but again, some of these services are essential in order to run a YouTube channel and be able to provide content. I need some of these facilities, but certainly I can pay more attention. So again, I want to mention on this, none of this is set in stone. If you're thinking about traveling or you already travel, not all of these costs are going to be relevant to you. This is just a couple in our late 40s that are traveling around, that some months we spend more, some months we spend less. Could we trim back? Could we make adjustments? Of course. This is just a video detailing what our cost of livings would like, to give you a snapshot in time of what any month's spend might look like. Not everything will be relevant to you. Some things you might want to spend more on, some things you might want to cut back on, but this is what a real month looks like. All right, groceries. Now, we had a couple of local shops to us whilst we were in Penang that we were able to walk to some days with the dogs. Again, a lot of it was delivered via Grab, but we did also enjoy just being able to go into a supermarket. So 20 individual shopping trips, that came to £287.79 for that month. Next up, eating out. Now, again, we didn't really do a lot of that. 5 meals, 5 trips out, which were mainly coffees, a bit of breakfast in the morning, a meal here or there, again, because we were looking after the dogs. We didn't want to leave them at home. That was part of our duties, was really to make sure that the dogs had companionship, make sure that they weren't struggling from separation anxiety from their owner. So again, Yvonne and I kind of complied with that, which then meant that we ordered in much more often, but we spent £70.95, very low for this particular month. Next up, cash withdrawals. We needed to lift a little bit of cash at times just for paying for the occasional thing. Came to £18.41, very nominal amount of money for a full month's living. Next up, some regular payments that we have. I actually just think these are like bank costs that we have to administer an account. I think this is probably our Revolut account. Came to £18.38. We have data that we need for our mobile phones, local data. So we're using Revolut data on both Yvonne and I's phones. So we checked how many times we had to top up data so that we could use our phones out and about. It came to £16.97 for the month for the two of us. And then also we have mobile phone contracts which are linked back to the UK so that we can maintain our existing UK numbers for access to banks, for access to financial systems, so that we can receive text messages, etc. And we use a very, very basic package for this. 2 numbers kept alive. That came to £12 in the month. So that gives you a total of our spend. So that's all the kind of expenditure. On the next screen I'm going to show you now is just the total cost for the month. And again, just to stress, this is just a snapshot in time. These things go up and down. Our average monthly spend has been around £1,800 to £2,000. To give you some idea, back in the UK, we were spending around £4,500 a month from our rent, cars, council tax, gas and electricity, all of the regular expenditure, occasional night out, few takeaways. We were spending around £4,500. So for the month of June, £1,143.76. So again, the Grab purchases, which is across taxis, takeaways, grocery deliveries, everything that came through that app, the highest expenditure for the month. Definitely something you could trim back on by eating out, eating more local food, doing all those kind of things, living like a local, you could definitely trim back. But as a monthly cost comparison to our life in the UK, again, I'm not saying that everybody in the UK lives on £4,500 a month. That was just a snapshot of our lives as we were living before we left the UK. Those were our typical costs, and I've covered this in past videos. Again, the house sit for the month of June made a huge impact to our costs. No monthly spend, and again, having the facility to stay in Penang, an area that's definitely a higher cost of living, down at the beach, and that was really enjoyable, a lot of fun and very rewarding looking after the dogs, but you get a roundup. Now, just to let you see what that looks like across other currencies, in euros, just over 1,300 euros, in US dollars, just over $1,500, in Australian dollars, 2,300, just over, and then in Malaysian ringgit, for anybody that's watching here in Malaysia, 6,700, just over 6.7k in ringgit. So that's our monthly costs for the month of June. We're now in July, and again, I'll do this roundup. If you're interested in this, you want to follow along, give the channel a follow, hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment down below, do all those things. That will certainly help the YouTube algorithm. If you've made it this far, you're enjoying this, follow my wife and I's adventures as we travel around Southeast Asia. And soon I will give you a roundup of July. That's it. Thank you so much for watching and all of this. I'll read all of your comments down below. Thank you. Have any interest about potentially we have just completed one of our lowest cost